All right, we're going to get started. Good evening, everyone. It's nice to see a good crowd here. Happy to see so many of you come out and see us in person here at Quest. I think we've got a great program for you this evening. One of our favorite speakers, Scott Horne, is here with us, who's going to talk a lot about starting small and getting big when it comes to real estate investing. But before we bring up Scott, I'm going to give you just that little overview on Quest Trust Company, who we are and what we do and how we can help you in many ways. My name is Steve Sabaji. I'm the IRA specialist, and now I'm the new office manager up here as well. So you'll be seeing a lot of me along with the staff, and hopefully we will be seeing more of you as the days go by. So start out, many of you have probably seen this before. You know who Quest is. We're the largest self-directed IRA company here in the state of Texas, with over 20,000 investors that we administer over the course of the nation, actually. $2 billion right now in assets under management. Over 100 employees, about a third of them being certified IRA specialists, meaning that they have a deeper level of understanding of IRAs than just the average individual. And right now, we have clients who are ready to make deals. Our clients are sitting on nearly $400 million in cash. So if you are a deal maker, this is a good place to be because our clients are looking for opportunities. Now, what is a self-directed IRA? I get asked this all the time. What's the difference between this and my regular IRA? Or, how do I get one of those? The fact is that IRAs are IRAs are IRAs. There's no difference between this IRA and anything you'd find anywhere else at, say, Schwab or Fidelity. The distinction is that with the self-directed IRA, you get to choose exactly what you invest in. It is private asset based. That's the large distinction. It's your asset, it's your deal. It's something not everybody else gets. And the advantages are still the same. You have the tax advantages of the savings, where everything is deferred and even potentially tax-free on the back end when you begin to distribute. It gives you greater diversification than you can find in the market, because it is truly a different asset class altogether that doesn't correlate to the stock market. And again, it gives you the ability to invest in something you personally know more about. You're the one picking the deal. You're the one who's done the due diligence and the homework. So you know this thing better than anyone. And I'm going to throw in one more, because I think this is a pretty key distinction that a self-directed IRA offers. I think of it as social investing. Now, we've all heard of that. And it's generally referred to in the context of, reducing your carbon footprint or something along those lines. And that's important, that's great. But I would argue that through a self-directed IRA, you have more opportunity to make a difference in your localized community than anything else. Think about what you do when you're using a self-directed IRA. Let's say you're doing a flip. You're buying that eyesore property and making that investment into that community with the intention of building it up. You're going to sell it or rent it to somebody who's going to make a difference in that community as well, who wants to be there and will take care and grow the property. Same is true if you're doing syndication deals. Those are designed to build better communities and areas, and even the lending. You're doing something where you're lending to somebody who's doing that. So I would say, again, on a localized basis, you make more of a difference potentially by using the self-directed IRA. Now, as I mentioned a minute ago, IRAs are the same no matter where you go. So there's no difference between a self-directed IRA and anything else you might find. So they come in all those forms. Traditional, which is also rollover, Roth, business plans like the SEP and the solo 401k, which will let you put in large amounts of money. And then our specialty plans, specifically in the areas of education and healthcare, where you can put money in, have it tax deferred, and have it come out tax free for purposes of education and healthcare. And the options that you can use are unlimited in that area of private investing. Now, you all know our niche is in real estate. And I ask that question to people all the time. What are you looking to invest in? The answer I get is real estate. My question is, though, what kind of real estate? What does that mean? Because it can take many forms, like I say. It could be a house, it could be a flip, it could be an option, it could be any of those things we traditionally think of, but it could also be a syndication. The multifamily, investing through an LLC, any of those types of private entities. And it could also take the form of lending. And it's getting even larger now. You know, one thing I'm seeing a lot of these days is private companies where it's pre-IPO and they haven't gotten to the point where they want to go public, but they are looking for investors. So that's another great opportunity we're seeing more and more of. Okay. Now, just to touch on a couple of things, we're running a lot of promotions right now, and we have a lot of great events that are coming up. So I just want to hit on that real quick. Right now, we are doing specials for opening new accounts with the option of having multiple accounts opened without extra charges for the new accounts. So if you've thought about opening a rollover, but you also want a Roth, or you want to consider also expanding into something like a health savings account, you can get all of that wrapped up into one. The classes are still going on, and we're making a big deal about our expo. I hope you've heard of it. If you look at the green piece of paper in front of you, you will find a lot of details on that. It is going to be, I think, one of the premier events. It is on its own one of the largest real estate conferences out there. And while it's a paid event, for a contemporary or similar event, the content that we are presenting is going to be significantly more over the course of the 3 days. And if you're a football fan, Emmitt Smith will be conducting one of our sessions on day one. For those of you who may not know this, actually, he's been very successful post-football career, especially in the area of real estate himself. And he has a lot of great information that he likes to share. Now, also with that, if you look toward the top of the page, I can offer you a little incentive as well. If you use that code, Sabaji30, that will also get you a discount on the ticket when you go in to purchase it. We are highly competitive in my department, by the way, side note. And we have a contest going on in terms of getting these tickets. I expect many tickets. Make our Dallas office proud, please. All right. If you'd like to find out more, please reach out to me. There are all kinds of ways that you can get in touch with us here at Quest. You can scan that QR code to set up an appointment with a IRA specialist. You can always just go to our chat box at our website, or you send us an email, or just give us a call, or just drop in and see me here anytime you like. All right. So I'm now going to bring up Scott. And Scott has been in the business for quite some time. He started out in a very modest way with his real estate investing. And over the course of a couple of decades, it has grown and grown and grown. So what Scott's going to really help focus on for you today is the ability to start small and get bigger, but what it really takes, patience, and it takes a lot of fortitude and basically just that principle of sticking with it and moving ahead. And along the way, Scott's picked up a lot of methods in terms of learning how to build that wealth, hold on to it, and perhaps most importantly, pass it on. So with that, I'm going to ask that we all welcome Scott to come on up and share his knowledge with us. Come on, Scott.
Thank you. Am I using this puppy?
Yeah.
I'm not good at it, but I'll try. If I pull this down like this, guys, y'all yell at me, okay, and I'll bring it back up. And I'll try to read that. Oh my gosh, it's too small. Y'all need to put like a 65-inch or 75-inch up here, okay? So how was everybody? We have a good crowd, he said tonight. This is awesome. It's nice to have a big crowd sometimes. And we just did this Saturday down in Houston for one day. And but for my partner who called me at 5:55, I'd be in the gym right now. I had a long day today, and believe it or not, I kind of went poof out of my head. That happens often when you get a little bit older. If you're not there yet, you will get there yet. Who else has that problem besides me? Come on. Okay. We all do. So wherever I am up here. So I just called this building wealth through real estate and whatnot. And guys, I wish I could sit here today and take time to go through and 30 or 40 minutes that I've been told I get to talk and give you specifics on certain ways of doing things out there, whether it's wholesaling, fix or flip, the creative finance world. There ain't no way. I can't even get through it in one day most of the time in our training classes out there. But I kind of called this real estate wisdom, and I kind of put the Proverbs thing down there because we were going through like a 3-month series in our Sunday school class in Proverbs. And one of the main things about that book in the Bible is wisdom. And it's about learning. And guys, I see so many people in this industry who have no clue. They ain't got wisdom. They don't have a knowledge base. They don't have anything. And what we want to do is learn how to be smart, because the smarter we can be, the better off we'll be at the end of the day. And anybody ever hear that old tale about he who dies with the most toys wins? I don't know if that's always the truth out there, but it's not all about that. You know, in this industry, we promote doing things right because it helps all of us be successful. And there are people out there who do not do our business the right way. And of course, they create problems for all of us along the way. So somebody tell me real quick, what are the 3 most important things in real estate? Trick question. Come on. Who said buy right? What was it back here? That's the thing you hear everywhere, right? Think that's right? Then why'd you say it? It's what you've heard, right? So I think that legitimate answer out there is, and you're right, that it is usually money. I go money, money, and money. So why do I say that? Because you can have the most, yes ma'am, awesome property out there. And if you don't have access to capital, can you buy it? A little bit of a problem, right? So there's the money, money, and money part up there. I'm going to be slow. So it is about the access to capital. And so one of the things you want to be wise about is learning, where can I borrow money from, right? Anybody, where can you borrow money from, guys? Everybody. Good answer. Where are you right now, right? You know, as he said, how many? 400 million? Or is that a billion? How many is it? Just, you got to work it up to billion, you know. Come on. But the IRA world out there, the institutional capital world, your small banking world, I'm going to have fun again because I did this Saturday. I'm just going to ask people a simple question. So if you bank with Bank of America, stand up. If you stand up, if you bank with Wells Fargo, stand up. So far, this side's winning. If you bank with Chase, stand up. And if you bank with Citibank, okay. So guys, I'm just going to give you a little piece of advice, and the older investors in here will tell you this answer. They will never work with you in the single-family residential investment industry. You are outside their box. Find your small institutional banks, create a relationship, and start doing business with them. Okay? Do what now? Long time, been around for a long time. A little more staunch on a few things, but good place to go to start. I know a lot there. You're dead on point. There's a lot out there. Plains Capital, Citibank, I can go on. But get away from these big banks, big box banks. All they want is your money. They just want to pay you, 0.0025% on your money there or something like that. Happy to give you a few. So besides just the access to money, I will tell you it's about the cost of money. And you've got to learn how to get lower rates. When I got started in the business, guys, back in 1988, the word hard money did not exist. It was just private capital. And we would find it in, you ready for this? The newspapers. Who's read a newspaper lately? I mean, you find it any way you could, but there's private capital out there. But I was paying 17.75% and what equated to 15 points on a deal. I didn't know you couldn't do that. I just wanted to borrow money to buy houses with, and you did it any way you could. But as you do that, you realize you have got to find cheaper sources of capital to be successful. It's something you have to work on and you have to mine, okay? And then the other part of the equation is it's about learning how to save money and learning how to do shortcuts and various things that will help save you dollars along the way. One little tidbit I've done for a long time is when I buy houses, I'll use private capital, but I can't keep my private capital out long term, and I want to transfer it to my small banks. And I did that by just doing an assignment of the mortgage from the private lender to the bank. Now, of course, I closed my front end deal with a private lender, with a title company, with a title policy, and they're in first lien position. So what position does your bank want to be in? They want to be in first lien position and with the title policy. Well, most people want to go and they go through a refinance process, meaning you could go back through the title company and pay more escrow fees, more title fees, and all that kind of stuff. And by the way, guys, as a title attorney, if y'all want to do that, please come see me. We don't mind taking your money any way we can. But little tricks in the trade, learning how to save money on construction costs, cutting out the middleman if you can, things like this. Everything works towards the bottom line. To be a successful investor, you've got to learn how to do that. And this is where the wisdom part comes from that you learn. And I get it. Sometimes you don't get it day one, day two, but work on it. It is something we all must do in our industry to learn how to be successful. The next thing is to be successful, we have to learn how to control our asset, right? How do we control an asset? You got to buy it, right? So how are you going to buy an asset? Other people, good answer. Other people's money. What else? Your own money, institutional capital. But anyway, one of the things you look at up here, and here we are in Quest. Can you borrow money from your own IRA? Absolutely, you can. By the way, I'm a member of Quest. I have a lot of real estate assets I have bought for cash in my IRA. I will tell you, I have bought assets subject to the existing debt in my IRA, which limits the amount of money I come out of pocket. I have been able to finance properties that I buy into the IRA where I get a bank loan that has no liability to the IRA. One of the things that you've got to think about along the way, because you can't take liability in the IRA, but I'm able to limit the amount of cash I use, which increases my return, right? And it's all about making return on investment out there. You can go to your bank to borrow money. Not Bank of America, not Wells Fargo, not Chase. They ain't going to talk to you. to your small bank and borrow the money. By the way, when you do that, they want 20% down. Could you still use, let's say, your self-directed IRA for that if you wanted to? Absolutely. You just don't take recourse in the loan, but you sign a personal guarantee. I think the IRA is happy with that at that point in time. It solves all the requirements. You can go to private lending, right, to borrow money along the way. All these things work, or if you don't have any of that, or you don't have the ability for that, you got to learn creative financing. Tell me in the room, who here has done anything in the world of creative financing? Who's bought a house using some type of creative finance? We got a couple. That could be buying just an owner finance transaction for somebody who's debt free. It could be a subject to transaction. We'll kind of talk about that a little bit in a moment. Could be buying it under a wraparound mortgage. Any of those work along the way, but you got to have money or you got to learn how to negotiate terms. And sometimes it's a willingness to put yourself out there to ask the question. Tell you all a fun little story. This happened, gosh, I don't know how many years ago now. 8 or 9 years ago, maybe 10 years ago, maybe longer. I've slept. But one of my clients was pretty aggressive out there in this business. Does anybody know the name Siegel and Las Vegas, the correlation between those two? Oh, come on. Bugsy Siegel. Who started Vegas? So who was Bugsy Siegel? The mob, all right? All the way through. And so there's a gentleman, his last name is Siegel, out there right now, and he owned I don't know, 100, 200 unit condominium project, high rise, owned the building where the casino was, etc. Anybody here see that program about Versailles here in the United States? The building of this 90,000 square foot mansion. This is Mr. Siegel, owned the largest timeshare corporation in the world. This guy is calling Mr. Siegel trying to buy this $900 million condo project subject to the existing debt. And of course, I don't know who's on the phone or who's doing what. Then I just hear Vegas and I hear the name Siegel and I got some lawyer dude on the phone. And of course, my radar goes up and goes, what the hell are we talking to and what's going on and how deep are they going to bury me in some cornfield? I don't know. Deal didn't happen, but the guy opened the door. Are you willing to do something like that, guys? I mean, that takes gumption to get out and do it, but sometimes that's how we get out and we make money, is putting ourselves out there in front of people. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But learning the creative finance techniques is a huge opportunity. I'd love to be able to sit here today and talk to y'all about that more in detail. Don't have that much time. We'll touch on it briefly, though, here in a little bit. So, well, we're going to talk about it right now. But anyway, just some fun things, and this tells you how you can invest your money and maximize your profit somewhat. So, property on Oak Creek. Anybody know where Hutchins, Texas is? Used to be an area called Wilmer Hutchins. And Dallas had 2 armpits in the past. One was Fair Park, one was Wilmer Hutchins. It was just, they weren't good neighborhoods, guys. They were bad. Wilmer Hutchins has pretty much ceased to exist because of the mammoth warehouses that have come in and storage facilities, Amazon and God only knows who else is out there and whatnot. But get a hold of a young lady out there who's going in foreclosure. We have about 2 weeks before she goes down. We find out she has a $188,000 first lien mortgage, and it's a 3% interest rate. That's pretty good. It didn't start off at that. That was a modification, and there's only 2 years paid on it. So follow me here. Then we find out that she has a $10,000 down payment assistance loan. So that tells me she put no money down when she bought the house. And that loan is at 0 interest and 0 payments for 28 more years. Then there's a $63,000 HUD loan. Has anybody ever seen a HUD loan? You know what a HUD loan is? Somebody, what's a HUD loan? You know? HUD loan is a loan when you are behind in payments. They do a loan modification. They roll all your arrearages into this second or third mortgage. No interest, no payments. Thank you, Mr. Government. You know, I guess we get to pay the interest on that somewhere along the way. Then she's $25,000 behind in payments again. Guys, this house was built in 2018. There's only 4 years been on this mortgage. What does that tell you about this young lady? She hasn't paid a bill since she moved in the house. Not a single payment. I would be under the jail. I wouldn't have that ability. And by the way, guys, she wanted cash to move out. So if you add up, and she wanted 12,000, well, she wanted 15,000. We gave her 12,000, but if you add all that up, it comes up to about $300,000 on a house that has an ARV retail of about 310. Who here is going to pay cash for that house? Who would want to buy that house? Why? 0% is pretty good, ain't it? Why? Speak up. Yep. Anyway, I will tell you guys, this is the deal that the rehab, we spent right at $5,000. New carpeting, big house, touch up paint, a few light fixtures, some ceiling fans, clean up the yard. That was it. We will sell this home for $339,900, maybe actually a little bit higher, I think. We will get a $35,000 down payment because we're offering financing on it. The $35,000 reimburses me my $25,000 I had to pay to bring the loan current. It reimburses me the $12,500 I'm out of pocket and some of my $5,000 in repairs. Now, I might have a little bit of interest carry along the way, some monthly payments I had to make on that $188,000 loan. But when I sell my home to a home buyer at a little bit higher interest rate, something in this case, say 8.5% interest rate, which ain't bad, this property will generate a $1,500 a month positive cash flow. Now, guys, when this thing closes, that will be the largest monthly positive cash flow I've ever done, which is awesome. But who wants a $1,500 a month positive cash flow with limited to no risk involved? We have moral liability, not legal liability. And when it's all said and done, we're going to generate about $50,000 of real equity along the way if the borrower ever refinances the house. From a property that had zero going into it. Everybody understand that? It's worth 310, they owe 300. You got no equity, right? In fact, you're negative equity. So could you buy that, for instance, into your IRA and use $25,000 for the down payment, $12,500 to bring the loan current? Absolutely. Could you maybe borrow some private capital along the way in a second lien position that doesn't have any personal liability on it and put that $1,500 a month, just for instance, into your IRA? Tax-free. Not bad. And the equity, tax-free, right? These are the things I want you to think about as you learn how to structure deals. Yes, sir. So could you refinance this and help them refinance? Yeah. Do we do that? I don't want to do that. I want the cash flow. I want that $18,000 a year cash flow every year, and I want my first lien mortgage nose diving because it's only a 3% interest rate, meaning you're building rapid equity. Everybody kind of follow me there a little bit? But this is how you create yield on your investment and rate of return. Rochelle is actually my first Airbnb. Oh my goodness. And it scares the hell out of me because it's almost $1 million home. But we picked it up with a 3% interest rate from the seller direct. Small down payment. Not bad. You can lease it, do various things with it. Luckily, it's gone up in value also. We have a bit of cushion. But learning how to negotiate a deal from the seller with very good terms, works. This lady was in North Carolina, gone through a divorce, had already sold one property, didn't need money, just wanted out and to be done. Get rid of the memories. Learn to ask the questions, and sometimes you get lucky, right? And again, I say, could you have bought this into, again, I'm going to use the IRA just because it's a great way to do things with limited amount of money out of pocket? The answer is yeah, you could. It's an awesome way to look at things a little bit. Another deal, which is kind of like Oak Creek, I've used this before here at Quest, but Palmapita, which is in Lancaster, by the way, another big box house, 3,000 square feet square. I always like to say, does anybody remember the old Eagles song, is it called Return to Paradise by Don Henley, I think, where he talks about they put up ugly boxes and Jesus, people bought them. Anybody know the tagline there a little bit? Google it, somebody, okay? You'll know what I'm talking about. Same thing, ugly houses, big square boxes. Okay, is what it is. Lots of square footage. People like that, they want it. This is a property, again, just like that first one I said, $123,000 first lien, 3.5% interest rate. $36,000 second lien, HUD loan, 0 interest, 0 payments. $25,000 rehab in this case, $15,000 behind in payments. And when you put all that together, that's about $195,000 or $200,000, I think. And the house has an ARV of $210,000 at this time. This is a couple of years ago. Cash investors would look at that and they would run their direction because they can't buy it. A cash investor would buy that house at $140,000, $150,000 at most. Most investors, when you present this, they go, what? So to do that deal, though, you still got to have $40,000 in cash to close it, $25,000 to bring the loan current, $15,000 to bring the loan current, $25,000 to do the repairs to the property. Plus, you need interest carry because you got to pay that first lien mortgage. This is a house that we did, went in, bought it, fixed it up. 3 weeks, we sold it for $240,000, got $24,000 down, generated $1,000 a month positive cash flow, and created $65,000 of equity. That was about 2.5 or 3 years ago, and they cashed out last week. So you take a property that has 0 equity from a legitimate perspective, by learning how to play the financing game, you make a lot of money. And if you had done that, again, I hate to use the example here again of your IRA, for instance, where does all that money go? Into your IRA. You pay taxes on it? Nope. Who here likes to pay taxes? You got a good crowd. At least they don't want to pay taxes. By the way, it's okay to pay taxes sometimes, okay? You know, we all have to do it. I just wish everybody would do it. So anyway, it's a fun game to learn, and I wish I could sit here and teach you this part of the business today. Yeah. Absolutely, we do. If I had a day, we could talk about it. So if y'all want to stay until about 2 o'clock in the morning, we can get it going. Anybody up for that? No, you're not. Because I would be on the floor asleep. I'm sorry. Not going to happen today. But yes, we do all those kind of things. We try. That's the fun part, is to really help the student investor to learn this part of the business and to show them different ways of doing things. And guys, I know I didn't tell y'all what all we do and whatnot, but I've been in this game for 32 years now. I was a child prodigy. I started when I was 4. Maybe not, but became an attorney. By the way, they don't teach you this stuff in law school. This is learned by the School of Hard Knocks, creating it and those kind of items out there. Got into the real estate investing game back in 1988. You do a house, you screw it up. The next year you do 2 houses, you screw it up. Because you're rehabbing them too much, you're paying realtors and title companies and mortgage companies, and you make no money. And it's a process to learn the business. We didn't have the luxury of seminars like this, for instance. We didn't have real estate investment clubs back then. They didn't exist as you know them today. They didn't have the gosh dang internet back then. So you didn't have the ability to read. This was just go out and beat the streets, learn it the hard way. How did you guys over there learn this stuff? Kind of that same way too? Because y'all are my age as well. But you do it the hard way, right? It got easier, but yeah, it stunk and it was hard. It's why either we have gray hair or no hair. or dyed hair. I wouldn't say that, no. But anyhow, you learn this business and you work through it and you get better and you learn new techniques. And, eventually 2 houses turned to 4, turned to 8, turned to 7,500 houses for us. And it's a long road. And by the way, you don't have to do that many houses, guys, to be successful in this business. We're going to have fun talking about that here in just a moment. Come on. So again, the key is you got to control the asset, right? Because without the asset, you got nothing. Finding the property is hard. And right now, for instance, in DFW, it has gotten difficult to find decent deals. Now, I'm not sure if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but I think it's going to get to be a lot easier to find better deals coming up right now because of the changing marketplace. What's happened to interest rates lately? I just closed a deal at one of my banks at 7%, and I about choked, and I called the president of the bank, and I went ballistic on him. Not sure if it helped any or not, but we'll see where it goes. And this is all going to the dogs, as it probably should. But I was in court this morning, guys. I had to do an eviction, and someone brought a dog into the courtroom. I don't know if it was a service dog or whatever. I don't think it was, but it could have been. I only barked once, thinking this was pretty good all the way through that. But today, right now, what I can tell you is it is hard to find a good deal. It is hard to work it. It takes a lot of advertising. Going back to the late 80s, early 1990s, guys, I was on a 1-to-3 ratio of buying houses. That means for every 3 houses I looked at, I bought 1. Through the 1990s, that inched up to about 1-to-8, 1-to-9. In the 2000s, that inched up a little bit more because, my gosh, if you could fog a mirror back in the subprime days, anybody could get a house. And that inched up a little bit more. Today, I understand it's about 25-to-1 is what I hear out there in the marketplace right now. Luckily, my business partner, Susan, and I, we're on about a 12-to-1, 13-to-1 ratio, something like that, which is good, but it requires a lot of marketing, a lot of effort, and about 10 times more brain power than what it did back then. So you got to be creative in how you go out and find it, but you've got to learn to hunt these assets through creative advertising, creative marketing, learning how to talk the game to everybody appropriately, especially in the creative finance game, because right now, as per a buddy of mine, Eddie Speed's information he provides, he says that 8 million Texans are behind on their mortgages, and 30% of those with the homeowners are in forbearance in addition to that. That is a big, big, big number. Should scare you to death, but it's also opportunity that may be forthcoming as well if you learn things like the creative finance game out there and how you can capitalize on that. Yes, sir. 8 million Texans are behind in basically in default behind on the mortgages. Yes, ma'am. Oh, you're just counting. Got it. I thought you were waving. And then an additional 30% are in forbearance. Where they say, oh, don't make payments today. You can make them tomorrow. What they're going to do with that forbearance, I don't know. My crystal ball is still in the pawn shop. Susan, go get it out, please. I have no clue. I don't know anybody has a clue. It's spooky right now. Do they go to foreclosure? Is it added on the back end of the mortgage? I don't know. We'll see where that happens at the end of the day out there. But what that tells me is there will be opportunity. Sellers need help. They need solutions. Who are the best people to provide solutions to them? We are, right? Know the game, create the opportunity, find the sources. Now, one of the hard things in today is that to buy houses, whether it's buying for cash, because you can find hard money lenders and banks will lend you money, those kind of things, so long as you have the difference in cash to bring to the table. But even in the creative finance world, you go back to 08, 09, for instance, guys, we were buying houses with zero money out of pocket, taking over a property that was in mint condition. We were able to sell that house using creative finance, put cash in our pocket today, and generate positive cash flow. Ain't going to happen today. The average deal in the street today means you need money to bring the loan current. You need money for rehab, and your seller wants money to walk away. So you got to learn how to find resources. Either have it yourself or find ways to bring in private capital sources. How do you find private capital sources? Come on, another trick question here. What? Quest? Meetings like this? You can talk to anybody, right? Open your mouth. Everybody wants to get in this game. They're just scared to death to get in the game. People are looking for ways. You don't have to have $100,000 or $500,000 to get into the business. You've got $30,000 or $40,000 sitting in a CD or somewhere in your bank account. Could you use them as a lender for yourself in some format to do maybe one of these creative finance deals? Do you think they would love to get a return like 6, 7, 8, 9%, maybe whatever you negotiate with them versus their 0.33%? Heck yes. Learn to open your mouth and talk. Talk the game. By the way, it's kind of fun too once you learn it and get it going, okay? So rate of return. So who here would like a 9 or 10% rate of return? By the way, that's a pretty good return on investment. I don't know what it is right now with mutual funds and whatnot. You know, I've heard the average is like 3%. I could be wrong there. Who knows? You could also lose half your money. You can make some money. Who the heck knows? The stock market scares the holy bejeevers out of me. I do not play that game. I don't know it at all. I know our game in investment. That's where my dollars are. Finding ways to invest money to get an attractive return is great. But this is great. So, for instance, if you learned the creative finance game, and this is talking about just selling a home with creative finance, forget buying it with it. Because let's say you go out and buy it for all cash. You learned the finance game. So you buy a house, and I'm probably ahead of myself here a little bit, and I am obviously, but take, for instance, you buy a home at $100,000. You want to sell it with creative financing. I sell that house for $110,000 because it's a reasonable markup and it's a reasonable price. My buyer doesn't pay any mortgage fees, things of that nature along the way. It's ease of operation. And of course, I'm selling an opportunity. I'm selling a down payment. I'm selling a monthly payment. I'm not selling a particular home in a particular school district or something like that. I get a 10% down payment, and maybe I get a 9% interest rate. So what that looks like is something like this. And I caught this earlier. My math was off by $1,000, so forgive me. You would think an engineer would do that right, but I goofed. But in that instance, using that exact same scenario, I came up with about a 10.86% rate of return on the money you put out of pocket to buy this property. That ain't bad. And by the way, all it does is get better year after year after year as you go through. So why do I throw that out there? Because it's an attractive return for investors. How many people in this room have what I would call a real job? Oh, come on. Who works for a living? Who used to work for a living? Okay. How many people are actually full-time real estate investors and making a living? Good. There's a few of y'all. There are a lot of people, boy, guys, who have real jobs. They will never get out of their job. But if you have a job, you make money, you got to put your money somewhere, right? You got to learn how to do that, whatever that might be. And the fun part is even doing this, you can buy a house at full market value and still make an attractive return on investment that kicks the heck out of standard mutual funds and those kind of things, and especially the banks and whatnot. And the key is just recognizing that and learning the finance game. So that's what this is all about. In a lot of my seminars I put on, you know, I ask the question, who controls all the money in the world? And the answer is maybe. Who else? Who? What else? Banks do. What do banks do? Who? Who? Yeah. We could talk about that for a while. But anyway, so banks usually control most of the money out there. And what do banks do? They finance, right? They take your money at almost nothing and lend it back out to us at a higher interest rate. I always say, learn how to emulate what those who control the money do and copy it. I'm trying to think of the movie Sabrina. Hate to use a chick flick, but who's seen the movie Sabrina before? The one with who's the actor in the most recent one? Harrison Ford, thank you. I forget the chick's name, whatever, cute gal. Does anybody remember what her parents did? What Sabrina's parents did in that movie at all? I hate to be a movie guy. He was a chauffeur. He lived in the garage apartment at this at this monstrous mansion that these guys lived in. And one day, this gal, Sabrina, finds out her parents are multimillionaires. And she's going, how in the world? And they said, we just did whatever he did and copied it. Same philosophy, guys, in a way. Figure how to do this kind of stuff and realize life here is about financing. And when you get good at it, you can make a lot of money in that regard. So it's not hard, but as I said up here, it's all in the details. So as I said earlier, we want to learn how to cut out the middleman along the way. We want to learn how to make money by saving money. So I actually put together a little thing here about construction because I am a rehabber, y'all. I love the rehab game. I'm good at it. I like it. I've done 8,000 or 9,000 rehab jobs. And so I have trained myself to walk in a house, to get in and out of a house in probably 5 minutes, and I'm done. Am I going to be to the nitpicky penny on what that's going to cost? No, I don't think anybody can do that in our industry. But I poke fun at some of these investor groups that train people to do this, and we'll go to these cattle call houses. I'm talking about where you show up and there's 15 investors there all looking at the house at the same time. We usually just walk away. And there'll be guys in there and they'll be measuring the floor and they'll be measuring the walls for paint. And they're filling out this 8-page form and they're there for an hour or 2 hours filling this stuff out and whatnot. And I'm zip in, I zip out, walk to the car, run some quick numbers, boom, I'm ready to make an offer. I get close. So it's important to learn your numbers along the way. So things that I do, I'm just going to walk you through things that I came up with in this case. And my gosh, I can't read that. I'm going to move around if y'all don't mind so I can look at it. My 2020 vision ain't so 2020 no more. So let me back up a moment here. So anyway, we look at this stuff and, first off, when I walk into any house, guys, or a property, I am looking at the overall house. How does it sit on the property? What does it look like? I'm looking at the whole thing, just making assessments, fence lines. Is there something that doesn't look right along the way? Next, I look at the electric meter and the electric panel. Does it have a meter? If it's got no meter, what are you doing? You're pulling a permit automatically. 2, I'm looking at the electrical box. And there's one electrical panel you got to be very careful for called a Federal Pacific panel. Anybody ever seen those before out there? Yep. Yeah, if you see them, you're removing them, replacing them. They're a fire hazard. All that costs money, unfortunately. I next go look for the gas meter. Sometimes you find these houses, they have no gas meters. If there's no gas meter, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're running a gas test. You're pulling a permit, pulling a gas test, and in a lot of cases, they didn't find that your gas line has a leak, meaning you're then replacing the gas line, right? So you better look at these little details out there along the way. I'm looking at the sewer line. So does anybody remember clay sewers? They called it Orangeburg back in the day, made out of like terracotta. Before that, they used tar paper, if y'all don't know that. I've only run into that 2, maybe 3 times ever, but you go, you got to be kidding me. After the Orangeburg came cast iron. That came in sometimes in the 50s. What happens to cast iron in the ground, guys? It rusts. It has a life of 50 years. So you better be looking at a house and looking at your cleanouts. What do you got? And sometimes, guys, if you see a PVC cleanout, it doesn't mean they replaced your sewer line. This means they replaced the cleanouts, or maybe they just installed the cleanouts. I've had that happen many times. I say that because if you are buying older homes in the 50s, those sewer lines, there's a great propensity that they are bad. So you better be learning how to look at them. Susan and I just did a house up in North Dallas in Collin County, and the house was built in the 80s. I didn't even bother looking for the sewer line because I'm going, anything in the 80s has got PVC sewer line, right? That was code. Then I found out not in Collin County. Somebody paid somebody to allow it to go a little bit longer, and we wound up having a cast iron sewer line that was bad, and $60,000 later on a $1.5 million house, we got the sewer line replaced. I've never done tunneling before. Oh my gosh. So you want to learn how to look at things. The yard, I'm looking at landscaping. I'm looking at the fence. And guys, what's happened to fence materials lately? They're going through the roof. If you don't go and check your fence pricing and whatnot, do it. Go to Home Depot, go to Lowe's. If you're going to be in this business, you got to know these things. I'm going to look at the foundation. Is it bad? Why is it bad? Is it a sewer leak? Is there upheaval? Did it just have foundation failure on the ends? Our soils, what is it? If you don't know the foundation game, take a moment, find a good foundation company, and ask them to educate you on foundation work. Now, how do you put in piers, exterior piers, interior piers? And the whole key with this is so you can estimate things along the way. And this is how you get able to move in and move out fast. Your roof, is it bad? Do you have to replace it? What's going to be acceptable or not acceptable? What does it cost to square? And learn how to estimate, what that is. Do you have a 412 roof, which is a standard roof pitch, or is it something more? I don't know. Look at your windows. Now, do you have to replace aluminum windows in a house? The old 1950s, 60s windows? No. What's your neighborhood got? What are your comps like? And if you want to compare to the better comps, are you replacing them or not? And guys, right now it's taking, Susan, how long to get windows in? 6 weeks? 8 weeks? We used to estimate about $350 for a window installed for a double pane vinyl. Now it's about $450 a window. So you got to watch your prices. I'm looking at exterior paint and repair. And I did put exterior paint and paint, didn't I? Boy, I repeated myself. Anyway, what's the siding going to be like? What's my cost for repair? Has anybody bought paint lately, by the way? What's happened to it? I bought a gallon. So my partner's been over here telling me all that for the last months and months and months, how much paint's gone up. I'm going, no. We used to pay $800 for paint for an interior of a standard house. And that has now gone up probably 2 or 2.5 times. And I'm at Lowe's, and I had to buy a gallon of paint, and it was almost $40 for 1 gallon, and I about dropped dead because a year ago it was about $15. And you bought the good stuff. Wow. But I'm looking at the exterior paint repair. I then go inside the house, and I'm going, what's my paint? What's my interior TBT, tape bed and texture work? Are there holes in the house? Is there acoustic on the ceiling? Am I going to remove it or not remove it? What am I going to do? Look at all these kind of things. I'm going to look at my kitchen, my cabinets, my countertops, my appliances, my sink, faucet, disposal. What can I use? What can I not use? Again, if it's an older house, guys, I'm looking at plumbing. A lot of these older homes built in the 50s have galvanized plumbing that comes up the walls from underneath the house. What's wrong with it? It's all bad too. And sometimes you run into some major problems. I'm looking at my bathrooms. I'm doing quick estimates. For instance, I estimate on a standard bathroom today about $4,000 to gut and redo a standard 5x8 bathroom. I don't go in there and try to figure out what the vanity costs or the tub costs or the tile or the faucets or the lights. It's $4,000. I'm done. And then I'm looking at my flooring costs, whether it's going to be carpet, vinyl, wood, something else, whatever it might be. But what I've done is I've gone through this list of repairs where I can walk in a house, I'm looking at the same thing, the same way every time. I start at the front door and I go through the whole house. And once I do that, I'm done. I walk out and I'm finished. Now, maybe not everybody can do that. Yes, ma'am? So the question is when we're buying a house, do I go into a full rehab always or not? Maybe. Every house is different. Every neighborhood is different. Every requirement is different. There's some houses that we just bought one home in the Garland area near downtown Garland that standard, 3-bedroom, 1-bath, 1-car garage with, maybe 1,200 square feet originally. Well, the owner had converted the garage and opened it up a little bit. Okay. Not my style. Ugly stone fireplace they put in, whatnot. Then they added 1,000 square feet on the back and 2 big bedrooms and another bathroom. Then they added a 2-car garage behind it and a sliding fence. So this is a house in a neighborhood where we'll go in and we'll clean it. And because of the size of the house, the number of bedrooms, the 2-car garage, etc., we believe that probably a Hispanic family, a Hispanic contractor will buy that. So we'll discount the house a little bit. So we save money on rehab, save time and trouble, and most likely they'll buy it. But other neighborhoods, you can't do that in. And that's the hard part, is deciding when you can do it and when you can't. Some places you got to do the rehab, some you don't. By the way, sometimes you can go in and just do a simple cleanup. I call it eliminating the negatives, but not accentuating the positives is kind of the phrase I use. And you got to find that point where you start and stop on every house based on the house and the neighborhood you're in. Now, for me, that's kind of the fun part. It's kind of a science to it a little bit, but it's not an exact science. And then sometimes the market tells you, yeah, it ain't moving. I got to make some changes. And sometimes it blows off the shelf. And you just kind of figure those kind of things out. Make sense? Does it really? Maybe. What really ticks me off is when I put brand new carpeting in my house and I sell it, and the next day they pull it out and go put hardwood floors in. Boom, $2,000 down the table, and it's gone. It's out in curbside. And you go, just give it back to me. Call us. But they don't. But you are right, and they do that. Or not everybody likes grays and whites. That's, by the way, I'm one of those. I'm not a gray and white. My Joanna back there, she's gray and white. Whatever. And I get trends, I get that kind of junk you got to go through and deal with and do. But what I'm trying to get at, guys, is things such as this right here, training yourself. Time is money, right? You got to be smart about your time, learn how to get in and out. I don't have an hour and a half stay in the house and try to measure it and think through the whole daggum thing. Maybe in the beginning when I did this business, I did that. I don't remember. It was too long ago. But today, I have trained myself to move in, move out, and go, so I can do a lot of things at one time. I will never try to figure out my rehab to the penny, because in our business, you will never be that good. I don't care who you are, what you are. It'll never happen. And so I just try to get close. And close is good enough in this business. Yes, sir. You want to sell it? You want to sell it? No. We're cheap. Now, by the way, I'm a child of the 70s, so you're saying I grew up with ugly carpet? Probably. Well, and by the way, sometimes by eliminating the eyesore, you can get a much better price for it. You spend $2,000 on carpeting to get a $10,000 more price. Yeah. And again, that's the hard part really, is where do you start and where do you stop? And by the way, that is one of the biggest mistakes for most young investors who get in this business, is they don't know where to start and they don't know where to stop. It was for me when I got started. I spent all this money remodeling houses, moving walls, doing this, doing that, thinking I was going to live in that house. Yeah, no, it's a commodity. Maybe. Yep, absolutely. All those little things add up. And sometimes, guys, this is a learned thing. No, there's no way you can teach this to anybody how it works. You have to learn it by doing it. But again, what I'm trying to get across here is I train myself to go and look at the same things every time, the same way, every house. Doesn't matter what the house is. Doesn't matter whether it's a 1,000 square foot house or a 5,000 square foot house. Same thing every time. I'm done, and I'm able to compartmentalize that, walk out, run quick numbers, and I'm done, and it works. I have estimations. I know what my carpet cost is going to be. 3-bedroom house, each bedroom's like 11 by 11. In today's world, $1,750 to $2,000 based on the price range I'm in. A bathroom, basic bathroom remodel where I'm gutting it to the studs and starting over again, $4,000. I might get a little cheaper, might be a little more. Master bathroom, if I'm going to tear some things out and put in some more glass, because glass is expensive, and little things like that, then okay, I might go 6,000. I might go 8,000. Depends how big the bathroom is. I try to use generalizations. I don't try to get down to that penny because it's going to kill me. And by the way, one of the things I do, guys, is, and please forgive me for being this way. Maybe I'm OCD or whatever you want to call it, but I go walk Home Depot. I walk Lowe's. I walk Floor and Decor. I check on prices. I see what's out there. I try to watch them. What's a fan cost? What does a faucet cost? What does this cost? What does that cost? And I try to see what's going on in that, so I just have reasonable ideas. And it's all about being reasonable. Okay? I don't have time to fill out some computer program with 87,000 things on it and waste. I want to make a fast decision, because in our business, time is money. You got to make offers fast. You can't wait days to do it. You got to find a way that works for you to do this. This is what I found works for me. Just consider it. Yeah. A postage stamp. Yep. So the question is yes, we walk in, look at all types of houses. Really small houses are kind of hard to move, 2-bedroom, 1-baths, because now you're dealing with smaller families. You try to get to at least 3 1 or 1 bathrooms, a little bit harder. You try to get at least a 1.5 if possible, maybe a 2. Is that a hint? Is that 5 or is that 10? That's it? We got like an hour and a half. They wanted to stay here at 2 o'clock. Come on. No. Anyway, we go across the spectrum, really from a 150 price range to 400 is our preference, whatever that's going to be in. Yes, sir. Again, I think it depends on where your home is located, the neighborhood where it's located, the demographic makeup around that house. All of those weigh into that decision process. I'm in Plano, I'm probably redoing the house. If I'm down in Seagoville, maybe not. If I'm in a 98% Hispanic neighborhood where I know there's going to be buku contractors, probably not. Bought a house on a street called Eagle a couple of years back. Eagle's over off of Illinois and Sunnydale. If you've ever been there, guys, don't go after 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's not a good area yet. There's still a lot of gang stuff going on, this and that. But as we drove north to this one house, things got a little bit better. Things kind of turned Hispanic. And we were buying this house for a steal. It was $35,000. House needed $35,000 repair, though. It was small, 900 square feet. We went in, cleaned it out, mowed the yard, put it on the market, sold it literally in a week for $99,900 with $10,000 down. And it looks awesome today. It makes you feel so good that these people came in, cleaned it up, and made it. It drives you in the business. Great deal for us. Hopefully a good deal for them too. and whatnot. And it was fun. But there's never a right answer there. Sure. Yeah. Well, there was one house in Mesquite back in the early 90s that it might have been to Six Flags and walked that funky house I used to have. I don't remember what it was called anymore. It was so long ago. Huh? The leaning house. The whole house, guys, moved 12 to 18 inches. Not one crack in the sheetrock. Yeah, I walked away from that one. You know, and you find out, you learn about upheaval, you learn about sewer line issues, you learn about if a house moved up in the middle and you try to underpin the exterior when it dries out and you fix the sewer line, when it dries out in the middle, it's going to come down and create a bowl effect. You're going to come back and do more. So you learn all these little details. Yes, sir. Yeah. Tell you in a minute. Hold that thought. Let me just roll through this real fast, okay? Because I've been told I got limited time here. See if I can actually get through something like this once in my talking here. So again, guys, rate of return is really important. One of the things we did years ago, we learned how to sell notes into the secondary marketplace. And this is where I just want to walk you through a few things to think about in the owner finance game. And I probably can't get through this whole thing that fast, but you know, this is an example of a standard fix and flip. And guys, keeping all numbers exactly the same, fix and flip. You know, you buy it for 80 cents on the dollar. It's worth 100,000. You got closing costs when you buy because you got to borrow the money from somebody somewhere, whether it's hard money lender. Most of you don't have all cash to do it with. You got holding costs for about 6 months. You got commissions when you sell the property. You got closing costs or commissions as well with a title policy. You've got insurance. You net about $4,500. Now, that could be $5,500. It could be $6,500, what it might be. But the only way to make more money on a fix and flip is either to sell it for more than it appraises for, or buy it for less, or cut your costs, or get lucky and sell it faster. And guys, we're in a marketplace where things are slowing down. And after doing 4,000 hard money loans, 7.2 months, average time on the market from 1997 through 2009, even in the subprime era. Think about it. Don't tell me you're going to sell your house in 2 months. You might get lucky. Run a reasonable estimate. So knowing that, when you go over to a seller finance, same numbers again. And this is what I want to get across to y'all. In this instance, I'm not bound by my $100,000 appraisal. I'm going to sell it for 110, getting 10,000 down, as we talked about earlier. My loan's $100,000, 9% for 30 years, pays me $804 a month. I'm going to hold that note for 24 months and sell it for $90,000. At the end of that time, this is my bank balance and this is my private loan balance. And I borrowed money. I had no cash in this deal at all, okay? And, whoops, what happened? Oh, over here, when I sell this note for $90,000, my profit is $24,000 versus the $4,000 or $5,000 or $6,000 the other way. Which way do you make more money? It's not rocket science, guys. I can show you the same example too, where that number becomes $32,000 if they refinance the property. Be smart. And the question was, by sitting on it 2 years. The answer is yes. The problem is so many people have to have money now, or they want money now. They're not willing to wait 1, 2, 3 years to maximize their dollars so they can make 4, 5, 6 times more money on one asset. And that is your wealth generation principle. Learn how to do that game. One day, maybe I'll come back and we'll talk about notes from a practical perspective. I'm not that guy that teaches you how to go out and buy notes. I'm the guy that teaches you how to generate the note, hold it, and sell it to maximize dollars, what you look for in that regard. But this is how the game really works. Learning things like the construction side of items, how to reduce your costs, save money, cut the contractor out of the middle so he doesn't make your profit. All of this works, and this is the wisdom I want to impart to you guys with all of this. Yeah, you can wholesale a deal and make X dollars. Okay, guys, that game's coming to a close pretty quick right now. There's going to be a lot of young investors on the street who thought they could play the game who can't do it anymore. Fix and flip, it'll always be there. But just look at your numbers because it is what it is, okay? Math is math. Unless you're in public school or the government or someplace where 1 + 1 = 3 now, whatever the hell they do. Yeah, but math is math is math. And, you know, everybody laughs at me. And, of course, I threw my little HP up here because I run numbers nonstop, run on everything. How do I maximize my deal? What works? Does the deal work? Most of my creative finance deals I do today, I don't make money today. I don't make any money at all. I may take 24, 36, maybe 48 months before I make money. But if you put money in a CD, how much money do you make in the first year? Maybe it takes 5 years. Then you get paid out your what? 1%? Woohoo. And I can show you how you do the same thing, same time frame, and you will knock it out of the park. It is when you learn that, when you think about that, as you think through this a little bit, you will learn how to start to generate wealth, which is why you guys are here tonight. Now, if you can generate wealth inside the scope of an IRA, tax-free, dude, come on. There ain't much better than that, right? There's a few things better than that, but there's not much better than that. Those are the things you really want to focus on and learn to do. Yeah, you may not be able to dump a lot of stuff in your IRA all the time, but it will build and grow over the years. Think about it. Play the game. Play it the other way too. Make money all these various ways. We have a good crowd tonight where only a couple of you guys really have full-time jobs. Some don't. Some are full-time investors, and that's awesome. And when you have the ability to slow roll this a little bit, that is where you're going to learn how to do this game. That is where you're going to start doing it. And I look back in my career, and I wish I could tell you that I knew all this stuff when I started. I didn't have a flipping clue. So if you sit here and going, what the hell is he talking about? I don't have a clue. You ain't the Lone Ranger, okay? I had no idea about this stuff. We just started doing it, started learning it, started implementing it, trying to find better ways to do it, and that's what you want to do along the way. We had this. Do you all think I own 3,500 or 3,700 mortgages? I wish I did, because I wouldn't be sitting here talking to y'all right now. I'd own an island in the Bahamas or something like that, because I had to sell my stuff. We had to eat. I get it. We also kept a lot, which allowed us to create and generate the wealth. Think about those things. Revisit this. Think through how you do this. If you have the ability to buy and hold, do it. I'm not going to talk to you about rental versus owner financing. I'll just tell you, I think they're about the same over 30 years, but which one takes less effort? I'm going to tell you this does. I can go on and on and on about this. That won't work. You want me to get off the air, and I'm done. But anyway, guys, thank you all very much. If you get a chance to visit us and all the things we do, we'd love to be your closing attorney, your title attorney, your asset-based hard money lender through GOAT funding, and I can go on and on. But take a minute, visit us over at the Owner Finance Network, which is our one-stop shop for all things owner financing. Thank you.
Thank you. Really appreciate it. Yeah. That was pretty comprehensive. Well done, Scott. All right. This is the point where I want to invite anyone to come up who would like to talk about any of the deals they're looking to pitch, whether that's looking for an opportunity or has an opportunity. And I do want to give a big shout out to our sponsor here, DMI. And I'm going to actually invite them to come up first and tell us a little bit about what they've got going. So good. Eric, come on up.
Appreciate you having us here. We're really excited about being back here at Quest. We've worked with Quest for many, many, many years. So it's nice to see live events coming back. My name is Eric Mattingly. I'm with DMI Holdings. We're in the syndication business. We primarily focus on multifamily. We've got a booth set up over here. So I want to invite any of you guys that are interested in learning about passive investment opportunities inside and outside of your self-directed IRA. You can join our professional investor network and have an opportunity to see various different types of projects. We're generally doing around 4 to 6 multifamily transactions each year that you guys can do inside your IRAs as well as outside of the IRAs. And just appreciate you guys coming. I'll be here actually speaking next week on the top 10 reasons to invest in multifamily. Probably take about 30 to 45 minutes to do that, take a few Q&A, and then give everybody an opportunity to network. So I look forward to seeing you also next week. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right. Who's next? Come on up. Be sure to introduce yourself and tell us what you've got.
Okay, my name is Joshua Gunn. I live in Canada. I'm a classical pianist. I have a rental property in the DFW Metroplex area, and I want to borrow 80,000. If you have 90,000, I would borrow it. And what else? That's a house with a 3-bedroom with ugly 70s style carpet. The living room is okay. It's in a, what is that? Working neighborhood. That's it.
I was going to say there's probably some carpet that's being replaced with that money for sure. Okay. Anyone else? Come on up, Sean.
Hi, guys. So my name is Sean Thompson. I'm a principal at the Thompson Multifamily Group. I essentially do everything that the DMI guys do. So everything he said, I can do as well. So I guess one thing I would say is that we, if you're looking at returns for your IRA or your cash, we double capital in about 5 years. That's kind of our metric that we use for all of our underwriting. So that's about it.
All right. Anyone else? All right. Thanks.
Hi, everybody. Good evening. How are you feeling today? Doing okay? Tired? Me too. So I wanted to introduce myself for all of y'all who have not heard me or who have not met me. I'm Kaylee McMahon, principal with Apartment Queen Investments. So what I do want to talk to you about today is something that is needing to be brought to some people's attention who are maybe a little bit newer in their journey, learning about IRA investing, self-directing investing. So some people don't know that you actually incur a large tax penalty from investing in your own deals. So if you're looking to get into flipping homes for the first time, for example, and you're wanting to use your IRA, that's not something you need to be doing. So what do? Is you find other sponsors like those that have come up here and spoken tonight about the different opportunities that they have so that you don't have to incur that tax. Something that we have seen in the industry as far as syndicating or investing in multifamily properties, which is what we do offer, we focus in Texas, is that there's typically a minimum investment of $50,000. So we decided to bust the lid off of that and say, that's not how this is going to work anymore. So I only got invested passively for the first time at 21 by having less than $5,000 in my IRA. And I was able to self-direct that into real estate, but not multifamily. Multifamily is the thing that has created passive income for myself and time freedom to be able to walk away from situations that didn't serve me. So what we decided to do was recreate my situation and be able to offer that to those out here who want to invest for less than $50,000 and like to empower women in changing the face of multifamily, which is what we're looking to do. So we like to, number one, solve that problem of having to have $50,000 to get started. And number two, the other problem that we see in the industry is that you typically have to be qualified as an investor, either as accredited or as sophisticated. With the way that we have put together a now live crowdfunding offering, you don't have to be either. You can literally be my grandma, which is what I named my fund after, Verna Fund 20. If you're interested in getting involved with our investments that are mission driven, you can text me 214-699-8810, the word fund, or get qualified depending on what you have questions about. The number again is 214-699-8810. We're looking to empower women, solve problems, and create generational wealth for everybody that wants to see us succeed. Thank you so much for your time this evening. Say again? Yes, either get qualified or the word fund, depending on what you want to know more about. So some people want to just get qualified. Some people want the actual meat of the info. Yes, ma'am? Apartment Queen Investments. Any other questions? I'm here all night long. Just kidding. I'm not. Thank you, everybody, very much for your time and attention, and enjoy that pizza. Oh, just kidding. It's gone.
All right, we're going to end it there. I can tell this has been a very good session because we are totally off the rails on time. So I think it's been time well spent. However, I invite you to do a little more networking here, but we are going to need to be closing up in about the next 10 minutes or so. So I want to again thank you guys for attending, and help yourself to whatever we have left as well. And we hope to see you next month. Thank you very much.
All right, good evening, everyone. It's almost time for us to lock up. I'll give you guys about 5 minutes, and then I will start shutting off the lights. Thank you so much for your time here, guys, and I hope to see you back again. All right, guys, last call. We got to get you guys out of the building so we can lock up. Please go ahead and start heading towards the exit.